Hello everyone. This is the last story we're going to use while we're thinking about our fantasy lands topic. This is Gulliver and he's going to go to a fantasy land. Let's find out what it's like there. Chapter 1, All So Small. Lemuel Gulliver loved to travel and he loved adventures. This is the story of one of his stranger adventures. It began when Gulliver boarded a ship for the Far East. The voyage was a difficult and dangerous one. Winds howled and storms raged, and the ship was pushed off course. Finally, it hit some rocks and sank. The passengers were desperate. Some tried to escape in a small boat, but it capsized and they all drowned, except for Gulliver. Gulliver swam for his life. Just as he was giving up hope, he saw land. He stumbled ashore and collapsed on the beach. Soon he was fast asleep. When he woke up, he couldn't move, not even his head. He was tied to the ground. Where am I? What's going on? Gulliver tugged his hair free and looked around. An amazing sight met his eyes. Tiny men were climbing all over him. "Hey!" Gulliver shouted. "What are you doing?" The men jumped off in fright. Some of them fired arrows, which pricked his skin like tiny needles. "Ow!" cried Gulliver. "That hurts!" What were they going to do next? He soon found out. They stopped firing arrows and built a ladder beside him. Then an important-looking man climbed up and shouted in his ear. But Gulliver didn't understand a word. He was hungry too, so he pointed to his mouth. "Hungry," he said. The man must have understood him, because a crowd appeared carrying huge amounts of very small food. Gulliver gobbled it all. Then they brought barrels of wine, which Gulliver gulped down thirstily. The people gave each other sly smiles. They had put something in the wine. In seconds he fell into a deep sleep, and the people set to work. They built a wooden cart and dragged him to the palace. The people thought he could live in the temple. But Gulliver still couldn't understand them, and he felt very confused. He was chained to the temple, and as he stood there, crowds gathered to stare at him. As soon as the emperor heard about the giant, he came to see Gulliver, but they couldn't understand each other. But the emperor was delighted. "Let's keep him," he said. "Give him plenty of food, make him some new clothes, and teach him our language." Soon Gulliver had everything he needed, but he was still held in a temple like a prisoner. Gulliver learned the people's language as quickly as he could. "Please set me free," he pleaded. The emperor wasn't sure. "You'll have to wait," he said. "You may still be dangerous." And he sent men to search Gulliver's pockets. They found a handkerchief, his notebook, his comb, his watch, and a bag of coins. The only dangerous thing they found was his gun, but they didn't know what it was. Every day Gulliver begged to be allowed to leave the temple, and finally the emperor agreed. "Let him go," he declared. "The giant may walk where he likes." Free at last, Gulliver set off to explore the city. All the people stayed indoors to avoid his enormous feet. There he is. He's huge. Look how tall he is. He's bigger than the houses. Lilliput seemed like a peaceful place, but Gulliver soon found out it wasn't. One day the emperor's secretary came to see him. "We have a problem," he said. "There are two groups of people in Lilliput. The Tremecasans wear high heels and the Slamecasans wear low ones. They're bitter enemies and they have a big argument. And we're at war with a nearby island called Blefuscu." He tried to find the island of Blefuscu with his telescope. It was easy to spot. A fleet of ships was getting ready to set out. Gulliver counted 50 warships. "What can we do against so many ships?" "I know. I'll need ropes and iron bars," he told the emperor. Gulliver twisted the ropes together to make them stronger. He bent the iron bars into hooks. "Now for the next stage of my plan," he muttered, heading to the sea. Gulliver waded in and swam almost to Blefuscu. When he rose out of the sea, towering above them, the sailors screamed with fright. Many dived overboard just to escape. Gulliver hooked a rope to each of the ships and tied the ropes together. He pulled them back across the sea to Lilliput. Look at the little boats. They're not as big as he is. 3 cheers for Gulliver! Hip hip hooray! That fantasy land was so tiny, all the houses were smaller than Gulliver, and the people were really tiny. Have a go at talking about what you think it would be like to find a land where everything is very, very small. Perhaps you could write a page for Gulliver's diary. I wonder how he felt when he saw all these really small things. Have fun and send me a picture of your work. I can't wait to see it. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.